She took my money, bought a house with her mom, and then cheated on me with our neighbor. Alright, let me set the stage. My name's Dave. I'm 35, work in IT, love grilling on weekends, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had a pretty normal, stable life. I've been married to my wife, Laura, for 7 years. We met in college. She was the loud, artsy extrovert. I was the quiet tech guy who actually showed up to 8 a.m. classes. Total opposites, but something about it worked. She brought the spark, I brought the stability. Laura works in digital marketing, always has her nails done, and somehow manages to turn every birthday party into a Pinterest board. Ask anyone around us and they'd tell you we were a couple goals. Coordinated Halloween costumes, weekend getaways, matching coffee mugs, the works. But behind closed doors? Let's just say things weren't exactly rom-com material. We argued about finances, my long work hours, and most of all, her mom. Margaret. That woman never liked me, and the feeling was mutual. She treated me like I was just temporary. Now, after years of renting bland apartments with thin walls and broken blinds, Laura and I finally decided to buy a house. Our first home. No more landlords, no more waiting 2 weeks to fix a busted heater. We dove in head first, open houses, Zillow deep dives, the whole 9 yards. Laura was obsessed. She already had curtain samples before we'd even met with a mortgage broker. Since my job is more demanding and her schedule's flexible, she offered to take point on most of the buying process. Said she'd handle the paperwork too, because, in her words, you'd rather have dental surgery than read fine print. Fair enough. I didn't think much of it. We were a team, right? We found this beautiful 2-story house in a quiet neighborhood. Huge oak tree in the front yard, a backyard big enough for barbecues and maybe even a dog someday. Everything felt perfect. We made an offer. It was accepted. Cue the champagne, happy tears, texts to the family, we were finally homeowners. Or, so I thought. What I didn't know was that this dream house wasn't going to be ours. It was going to be hers. Well, technically, hers and Margaret's. But I wouldn't find that out until it was way too late. So, closing day rolls around. We're sitting in this beige conference room at the title company, fluorescent lights, stale coffee, that weird industrial carpet that always smells faintly of toner and sadness. Laura's all smiles. She's dressed like she's going to a brunch photo shoot, flipping through the paperwork like she's done it 100 times before. I'm sitting next to her, half listening, signing where she points. Page after page. Sign here. Initial there. You know the drill. And then I notice something weird. One of the documents, the title paperwork, it doesn't have my name on it. It's just Laura's. Alongside a name I didn't expect to see, Margaret and Whitmore. Her mom. I pause. I ask, hey, why is your mom's name on this? Laura barely misses a beat. She laughs, and says, oh, that's just a legal formality. It's part of how we're structuring the loan. She co-signed so we get a better rate. Don't worry about it. It's just paperwork. Now, normally I'm the guy who reads every single clause in an Apple Terms of Service update. But something about Laura in that moment, her confidence, the way she brushed it off, put me off balance. She sounded so sure. So practiced. I hesitated. But I didn't want to make a scene in front of the realtor, the notary, the escrow agent. Everyone was watching us like we were the next happy homeowners. So I nodded. I signed. And I've regretted that moment ever since. A few days later, I asked again privately this time. Can I see the full deed? Just want to look it over. She got defensive. Said it was filed online, said she didn't have access to it yet, said I was being paranoid. Paranoid. That word stuck with me. Especially since she'd never called me that before. Things got weirder from there. The mail came addressed only to her. Utilities were all in her name. Even our homeowner's insurance policy? Just Laura and her mom listed. And I'm sitting there in our new kitchen, drinking my cheap black coffee out of a mug that says his, wondering how I could be living in a house that legally might not even be mine. I started digging. Quietly. Carefully. And what I found? It wasn't just a cosign. It was a full-on setup. But we'll get to that. Because right around this time, a new character entered the story. The neighbor. And things were about to get a whole lot worse. It was a Tuesday night when I finally pulled the deed. I stayed late at work, said I had to finish a deployment, but really? I was just sitting at my desk, scrolling through our county's property records with this weird pit in my stomach. You ever get that feeling like your body already knows something your brain hasn't caught up to yet? I type in our address. Boom. There it is. The house we bought, our dream home, the one I thought was our fresh start, was listed under 2 names. Laura Whitmore. And Margaret and Whitmore. No, Dave. No, and spouse. Nothing. Just them. I stared at the screen, hoping I was missing something. Maybe a middle name typo. Maybe the system hadn't updated yet. But nope. There it was, black and white, clear as day. Laura and her mom owned the house. I didn't. I went home in a fog. I don't even remember the drive. Just remember gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles ached. When I walked in the front door, Laura was already on the couch watching reality TV, sipping wine like nothing was wrong. I sat down next to her. Didn't even wait. Hey. I looked up the deed. She didn't flinch. Oh? Okay. And my name's not on it. She paused the TV, turned to me like I was a child interrupting adult conversation. Yeah. I told you. We structured it that way for the loan. My mom helped us qualify. It's not a big deal, Dave. Not a big deal? I said. I just dropped half our savings into this house. My name's not even on the legal ownership. That's not a loan structure. That's protection, she snapped. She actually said that. Protection. Then she goes, look, no offense, but I've seen how messy divorces can get. My mom and dad? She lost everything. I just wanted to be smart about it. Just in case. That one hit me in the chest. 7 years together. I never once lied to her, never even thought about leaving her. And here she was, planning for the day she could kick me to the curb and still keep the house. I didn't even know what to say. I just went silent. She took that silence as an opportunity to pour another glass of wine and unpause her show. Like the conversation was over. And that's when it hit me, this wasn't just a legal formality. It wasn't a mistake or a weird technicality. It was a setup. From the beginning. Laura didn't buy a house with me. She bought a house around me. And just when I thought things couldn't sting any worse, a new neighbor moved in next door. Let's just say he had a six-pack, a motorcycle, and way too much free time. But I'll get to that. Next time. A few days go by after the deed discovery. I'm trying to act normal. Taking out the trash, doing the dishes, watching Netflix with Laura on the couch like I'm not slowly dying inside. But I'm not sleeping. I'm barely eating. My brain is running laps every night. One question keeps circling. How long has she been planning this? Because it sure as hell didn't happen overnight. I mean, the paperwork, the mortgage pre-approval, the way she always volunteered to handle the details. That wasn't casual convenience. That was a strategy. So Saturday morning rolls around. She's in the kitchen, making her detox smoothie, or whatever nonsense she's into that week. She's humming, actually humming, like she doesn't have a care in the world. And I just snap, not yelling, not slamming doors. I was done with pretending. I said, we need to talk. Now. She looks up, blender still running, completely unfazed. Can it wait? I have a Zoom baby shower in 15. No, I said. You've been lying to me. We didn't buy this house together. You and your mom did. You used our money and locked me out of everything. That's not protecting yourself. That's scamming your husband. She stares at me, lips pursed like she's debating whether to cry or scream. Then she calmly turns off the blender and leans against the counter. Dave, you're being dramatic. I laughed. Like an actual dry, sarcastic laugh because dramatic? Are you kidding me? You used my half of the down payment and left my name off the title. You lied about it repeatedly. How am I supposed to come back from that, Laura? And that's when she hit me with the line that still pisses me off when I think about it. She said, well, technically you gave me the money. It was transferred into my account. So, that pause? It was intentional, like she was daring me to finish the sentence. I stepped back, stunned. So what? It's yours now. She didn't answer, just stared, cold, like a completely different person than the one I married. I didn't say anything else. I walked out of the house, her house apparently, and sat in my truck for over an hour. That night I started looking for a lawyer. Not because I was ready to leave, but because I had to know my options. Because suddenly, the life I thought I was building with my wife felt more like an episode of Dateline, minus the murder. Though I wasn't ruling that out just yet. And while all this was unraveling, guess who was popping up more and more next door? Trevor, the new neighbor. Chiseled jaw, tight shirts, lots of "hey man, mind if I borrow your ladder?" energy. At first, I thought he was just overly friendly. But now, I was starting to think he wasn't borrowing the ladder. So, let's talk about Trevor. Moved in 2 doors down about a month after we closed. Early 40s, always shirtless in the yard, always washing his truck like he was auditioning for a body wash commercial. Big dumb grin. Oakleys. Tank tops in November. You know the type. At first, I thought he was just trying to be friendly. Classic new neighbor routine. He introduced himself with a 6-pack of craft beer and called me bro no less than 5 times in under 3 minutes. Cool. Fine. Whatever. Then he met Laura. And oh boy, the energy changed. Suddenly, he's stopping by when I'm not home. I'd come back from work and find her telling me, oh, Trevor popped in to say hi. He fixed the fence board that was loose. Or, Trevor helped me carry those Amazon boxes inside. Trevor this, Trevor that. One time, I pulled into the driveway and saw them in the backyard laughing, like really laughing, the kind where someone throws their head back and touches your arm mid-giggle. Yeah, that kind. I walk up and Trevor goes, yo, Dave. We were just talking about you, man. Laura says you're a tech wizard. Think you could help me hook up my smart TV? I wanted to say, hook up your own damn TV, Chad Light, but instead I smiled and nodded. Because I wasn't ready to explode. Not yet. But the vibes? The vibes were off. You don't need to be a genius to feel when someone's slipping away from you. Or when some dude's sniffing around your wife. Things kept escalating. More Target runs. More quick errands that turned into 4-hour outings. More texts she shielded from view. I even saw her bring out a couple drinks to Trevor one afternoon while I was on a Zoom call upstairs. Just 2 lawn chairs and one too many smiles. Then came the day that sealed it. She left her phone on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. I never touch her stuff, but my gut said look. I wish it hadn't. Notifications were muted, but one popped up. iMessage preview. From a number not saved as a contact, just initials, T. It said, same time tomorrow? Winking face, I'll bring the wine this time. My stomach dropped. I opened the thread. It was a full conversation. Flirty, casual, way too familiar. She replied, haha, you're bad. Dave works late on Thursdays. Should be fine. Face blowing kiss. I stood there frozen. Her smoothie was still blending upstairs like some sick metaphor for how fast everything was spinning. She was cheating. Or at the very least, planning to. With the guy who borrowed my tools. Drank my beer. Smiled in my face. I put the phone back exactly where it was. She came downstairs 10 minutes later, hair wet, acting like nothing was wrong. Kissed me on the cheek and asked if I wanted to watch a movie that night. And I said sure. Because if I was going to do this, I needed proof. Solid, undeniable, burn it all down kind of proof. So now I know. Or at least, I think I know. There's no coming back from that message with the winky face and the wine emoji. You don't send that to your neighbor unless you're either planning a scandal or starring in one. But here's the thing. I couldn't just accuse her. Not yet. Because I could already hear her spinning it. You're paranoid. It was just a joke. We're just friends. And then boom. I'm the insecure husband. And she walks away with the house, the wine, and the ripped neighbor. So I did what any tech guy with a shattered ego and too much time on his hands would do. I started logging everything. At first, just in my notes app. Dates, times, excuses. Thursday, 5:48 p.m. Going to Target. Returns at 9:26 p.m. 1 shopping bag. No receipt. Smells like cologne that sure as hell isn't mine. Then I leveled up. Started using a little open-source home security software and tapped into our Wi-Fi network. Placed a cheap motion-detecting camera inside the garage and another out back near the patio. Not illegal. Not in my own home. And sure enough, things started lining up. Every Thursday, without fail, she'd run errands or visit a friend from yoga. And every Thursday, Trevor's truck would mysteriously pull into our driveway about 15 minutes later. I'd watch from my phone in real time, sitting in my office pretending to debug a database while my stomach knotted up like a pretzel. One day, I caught them laughing in the kitchen on camera. She poured him a drink. He leaned across the counter. The footage didn't catch a kiss, but body language? It was screaming something else. Another day, I saw her come home first. Then 30 minutes later, Trevor shows up. No tools, no reason. Just rings the doorbell and walks in without waiting. Laura didn't even check the peephole. Now, I didn't want to believe it. Honestly, part of me still didn't. I kept making excuses. Kept trying to find some innocent angle in all of this. But then she slipped. One night, she comes home from one of her errands and starts talking about how Target's out of oat milk. Normal stuff, right? Except the Target she said she went to closes at 8. It was 9:30. So I asked her casually, "Oh, I thought that Target closed early. Did you go to a different one?" She blinked. You could see the gears grinding. Then she smiled and said, "Oh right, I actually went to the one across town. Totally forgot." Cool. Except I'd driven by that one earlier on my way home. Closed for renovations. Signs everywhere. She didn't even try to make it believable. And that's when I knew. She's either getting sloppy, or she thinks I'm too stupid to notice. Either way, it was go time. I called my buddy from college, Eric, works in cybersecurity now. Quiet dude. Sharp as hell. Owes me a favor from way back. I said, "Hey man, how do you feel about helping me catch a cheater?" His response, "Say less." It was a Sunday night. Late. Rain tapping the windows. One of those nights where everything feels too quiet, like the calm before a tornado. Laura was upstairs taking one of her infamous long showers. The kind that last 25 minutes and smell like lavender regret. I was on the couch, fake watching a football recap and nursing a whiskey that was more for nerves than enjoyment. Then I saw it. Her phone. Just sitting there. Unlocked. Face down on the kitchen counter, charging. Now, I need you to understand something. I've never gone through her phone. Not once. Not in 7 years. I believed in trust. I believed in her. But after everything I'd seen, the lies, the cameras, the messages, I wasn't digging through her privacy. I was investigating a crime scene. I picked it up. It didn't even have a passcode. Or maybe she just disabled it for convenience. Either way, she made it easy. First stop? Text messages. Trevor wasn't saved as Trevor. He was saved as Tire Guy. Tire Guy. I almost laughed. I mean, come on. That's the best she could do? I opened the thread and immediately felt my blood pressure spike. Tire Guy, you looked amazing today. Could barely keep my hands off you. Laura, I still smell like your cologne lol. Hope Dave doesn't notice. Tire Guy, who cares if he does? He's clueless. She even sent him a photo. Not explicit, but enough. Her in one of my t-shirts, smiling in our kitchen like it was some inside joke. I felt sick. Then I checked the call logs. Missed calls, late-night FaceTimes. One at 1:12 a.m. when she told me she was taking melatonin and crashing early. And the kicker? A note saved in her phone. Title, Plan B, just in case. Inside. Call mom to confirm she's still on board with deed. Talk to lawyer about exit strategy if things go south. Keep checking Dave's mood, play dumb if needed. Play. Dumb. I locked the phone, set it back exactly how I found it. She came downstairs 5 minutes later in her robe, wet hair, no trace of guilt. Kissed me on the cheek. Asked if I wanted to watch a rom-com before bed. I nodded. Smiled. Said sure, why not? And in that moment, something in me snapped. This wasn't just betrayal. This wasn't a mistake. This was a full-blown operation. She was managing me. Like a chess piece. Like a damn spreadsheet. And the worst part? She thought I'd never figure it out. But she underestimated just how dangerous a quiet, tech-savvy guy can be when he's got nothing left to lose. Because I wasn't just watching now. I was recording. And with Eric's help, we were about to catch everything. By Monday morning, the plan was already in motion. I met Eric at a diner 2 towns over. We sat in a corner booth like a couple of off-brand spies, sipping burnt coffee and speaking in low tones like we were in a bad Netflix series called Suburban Revenge. I showed him the texts, the call logs, the note. He whistled and said, "Damn, man, that's some Cold War-level deception." He cracked his knuckles. "All right, you want eyes and ears? I got you. Now, I want to be very clear, I wasn't trying to do anything illegal. We were still in my house. I was on the deed or not, it didn't matter. This was my home, my marriage, and I was collecting evidence. Step 1, cameras. Eric brought over these tiny, motion-activated HD cameras you could stick anywhere. We set one up in the kitchen, one near the back patio, and one, disguised as a smoke detector, over the guest room hallway. Yes, the guest room. I'd seen Trevor head that way on one of the security cams. I wasn't just being paranoid, I knew. Step 2, audio. We planted a discreet microphone behind the bookshelf in the living room. It synced to an app on my phone. Whenever it picked up voices, it started recording. Eric handed me a second phone. Use this burner to monitor everything. Don't keep it in the house. Don't connect it to your Wi-Fi. Just watch. Step 3, act. Normal. This was the hardest part. For 2 weeks, I lived like everything was fine. I kissed her goodnight. I asked about her day. I even helped her carry in groceries. Inside, I was screaming. But on the outside, I was Dave the doormat, just dumb and docile. Then came Thursday. She left around 5:40. Said she was going to check out a new yoga studio with a friend. Wore perfume. Full makeup. No yoga mat in sight. 17 minutes later, Trevor's truck pulled into the driveway. He didn't even knock. He just walked in. I watched it all unfold on my burner phone from my office across town. Every motion-triggered clip, every muffled conversation caught on audio. Then the words I'd been waiting for. Trevor. You sure he has no clue? Laura. Babe. He still thinks this house is half his. I'm not worried. That was it. The nail in the coffin. The smoking gun. The moment my heart finally stopped breaking and turned to stone. I saved the footage, backed it up twice, and emailed a copy to my lawyer with the subject line, confirming infidelity and fraud. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just exhaled. I was done waiting. Now it was her turn to be blindsided. I waited until Sunday, because Sundays were her favorite. Lazy mornings, brunch, slippers, and a smug sense of peace. She always said Sundays were the reset button of life. Well, I was about to slam that button. We're sitting at the kitchen table. She's scrolling through Pinterest like she's planning our next home renovation project, which, by the way, she thinks she's doing alone. I'm sipping coffee and pretending to read the news. Calm. Steady. Like a bomb with a timer. Hey, I said, real casual. You mind if we talk for a second? She doesn't even look up. About what? Oh, I don't know, maybe about you and Trevor? That's when she froze. Like a deer in headlights. You could see the blood drain from her face. What are you talking about? She said, trying to play it cool, but her voice cracked on the word what. I pulled out the burner phone. Slid it across the table. This. All of it. The texts. The calls. The videos. She didn't even touch the phone. She just stared at it like it might explode. You set me up, Laura. You locked me out of the house we were supposed to share. Lied about everything. And cheated on me with the neighbor like this was some bad daytime soap. Silence. Then she tried to go full damage control. She laughed. Laughed. Oh my God, Dave. You're spying on me? That's crazy. This is like criminal. I cut her off. Nope. Not illegal in my own home. Especially when I'm gathering evidence for a divorce attorney. But thanks for confirming it just now on tape. That shut her up. She stood up, hands shaking, mouth twitching like she was deciding between crying and screaming. I didn't mean for it to go that far. It was just supposed to be a distraction. I was lonely. You're always working. And Trevor was just there. Unreal. She actually made cheating sound like tripping over a curb. And the house? I asked. Was that just a distraction too? Or did you and Mommy Dearest plan that one while I was busting my ass to pay for your granite countertops? She didn't answer. I think that was the first time she realized this wasn't a talk-it-out fight. This wasn't going to blow over with a couples therapy session and a Pinterest mood board. This was war. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and said I'll be staying with Eric for a bit. My lawyer will be in touch. She tried to follow me out the door. Said, wait, Dave, please. Can't we just talk? I turned back, looked her dead in the eye, and said, you had plenty of time to talk. Now it's my turn. And I left. The door clicked behind me like the closing credits on our entire marriage. The next morning, I walked into a law office in a strip mall between a vape shop and a Dunkin' Donuts. Nothing fancy. No big marble lobby. Just a small waiting room that smelled like printer toner and old carpet, and a secretary who called everyone Han, and offered me a mint from a ceramic bowl shaped like a gavel. Perfect. Because I didn't need theatrics. I needed a lawyer who knew how to hit back. Enter Karen Doyle, ESQ. Late 50s, sharp suit, hair in a bun so tight it could cut glass. She reviewed my folder of evidence in total silence. Didn't blink when I played the audio of Laura calling me clueless. Just nodded. Calm. Collected. Then she said, we're gonna burn her down to the foundation. You want coffee? I liked her immediately. Karen broke it down for me. The house? Legally, I wasn't on the deed, but I could absolutely argue my financial contribution. Bank records don't lie. The fraud? Documented. The infidelity? Recorded. The motive? Practically gift-wrapped. She told me we were going to file first. Always be the one to file, she said. It sets the tone. You don't want to play defense in court. So we got the paperwork rolling. Divorce petition. Request for full financial discovery. A motion to freeze shared accounts and assets until everything could be untangled. I handed over screenshots, camera clips, text logs. Everything I'd collected over those awful weeks of pretending. Then Karen hit me with this gem. Do you want to keep the house? I blinked. I mean, I helped pay for it, yeah. But because I can argue that you were deceived, financially manipulated, and that this property was acquired under false pretenses. Depending on the judge, we could force a sale, maybe even reclaim your investment. I didn't expect that, but just hearing it, that maybe I wouldn't walk away with nothing, that maybe she would have to answer for all of it, that felt like the first real breath I'd taken in weeks. Karen slid a thick folder across the desk and said, "We'll serve her on Friday. Let her enjoy the weekend first." I smirked. "You're evil." She winked. "That's why you hired me." That night I stayed at Eric's place. He handed me a beer and asked if I was okay. I said, "No, but I will be." Because for the first time in months, I didn't feel like a man waiting to get screwed over. I felt like a man with a plan. And Laura? She had no idea what was about to hit her. It's Friday afternoon. I'm at Eric's place, trying to act like I'm not pacing holes into his rug, while Karen, the lawyer, texts me a thumbs-up emoji with one word. Served. That's it. Simple. Cold. Ruthless. The divorce papers had been delivered. Certified mail, signature required. She'd opened that envelope standing in her perfect little kitchen, probably thinking it was another crate and barrel catalog. And then boom. Reality. I waited. No texts. No calls. Just silence. Until Sunday. I get a knock on Eric's door. It's Laura. Wearing sunglasses indoors and holding a manila envelope like it's radioactive. "Can we talk?" she says, already walking in like she owns the place. Bold move for someone who just got legally blindsided. She sits on the couch like this is a scene from a Hallmark movie. Starts with a sigh and a long, dramatic pause. "Look," she says, "I know things got complicated. But we don't have to go to war over this. I was actually coming to talk to you about filing for divorce." I nearly choked on my water. "You were going to file?" I said. "Yeah," she said. "I just didn't want it to get messy. I figured we could divide things up like adults. No need for lawyers." "Oh, sweet summer child." That's when I pulled out my phone. Opened the email from Karen. Flipped it around to show her the timestamp. "You mean before or after I filed 3 days ago?" She stared at the screen like it had personally betrayed her. "You filed first," she said, voice rising. I smiled. "Yep. With everything. Evidence, financials, the whole kit. You know that guest room camera you and tire guy kept gravitating toward?" "Yeah. That helped." The sunglasses came off. The deer in headlights look was back. "You were spying on me?" I shrugged. "Spying? Nah. Just recording what was happening in my own house, the one I helped pay for. The one you tried to sneak out from under me and hand to your mom." She stood up, jaw clenched. "You have no idea what you've done." "Oh, I think I do," I said, standing up too. "I stopped being a sucker. You underestimated me. Thought I'd sit there, smiling like an idiot while you played house with another guy in my kitchen. Well, now you can play lawyer with my attorney instead." She stormed out. No dramatic speech. No tears. No apology. Just silence. And that was better than any revenge fantasy I could have cooked up. It's wild how fast things fall apart when people lose control of the narrative. Within a week of being served, Laura's little empire started to crack like a cheap wine glass on granite. First casualty? The house. Turns out her mom, Margaret, wasn't exactly thrilled about being dragged into a divorce proceeding where she was now listed as co-owner of a contested property. Karen filed a motion that put the house under temporary injunction, freezing any potential sale or transfer, which meant Margaret couldn't cash out. And Laura? She couldn't just keep it either. The best part? I didn't even have to push for it. Margaret did. She called me furious. Said I was ruining her retirement plan. Apparently, she had quietly put the house up for sale without even telling Laura wanted to liquidate it before things got messy, eh? But now? It was locked tight in court limbo. Guess whose joint name is on that listing now? Yep. Mine. Second casualty? Trevor. Turns out the man of the hour had his own secrets. After I filed and the story started getting around because let's be real, in a suburban cul-de-sac, divorce drama travels faster than wildfire, Trevor's wife came knocking. Yep, his wife. I didn't even know he was married. She lived in another city and was in the middle of relocating when all this was happening. Long distance for now, she said. Not anymore. She found out the same way I did, phone records, a weird gut feeling, and a neighbor who just seemed a little too friendly. When I told her what I had, she damn near hugged me. They're getting divorced now too. Trevor moved out. Took the truck, the motorcycle, the weight bench from the garage. Left behind a broken porch swing and a reputation. Laura stopped texting me. Radio silence. I got word through her lawyer that she was emotionally distressed and needed time to process. Cool. Take all the time you need. Just don't forget the court date. And me? I started to feel something I hadn't in months. Peace. No more walking on eggshells. No more pretending. No more wondering who was lying to me and when. I started going for runs again. Got my appetite back. Laughed with Eric over beers about the time Laura once said I would never be one of those dramatic wives. Yeah. Okay. And then one day I got the best text of all. From Karen. Judge granted motion. We're forcing sale of the house. You'll recover your half. It wasn't about the money. It was about the principle. About proving that even quiet guys can raise hell when they're pushed too far. 6 months. That's how long it took from the day I found the first text to the day I held the check in my hand, half the sale of the house, just like Karen promised. It wasn't a huge victory. I didn't walk away rich, but I walked away clean. No mortgage. No more fake Target runs. No more lavender-scented lies. Just me, a used Toyota Corolla, and a lease on a 2-bedroom apartment above a bakery that always smells like warm bread. Honestly, that alone was worth it. The divorce finalized a month after the sale. Laura didn't even show up to court. Just sent her lawyer and a signature. I guess she ran out of excuses or ran out of people willing to listen. I kept the burner phone for a while. Not out of spite, just as a reminder. Of what I lived through. What I learned. Eventually, I factory reset it, tossed it in a drawer, and forgot about it. I got back into the things I loved. Weekend hikes. Grilling without having to pretend I'm impressing someone. Late-night gaming with Eric, who still brings up Tire Guy every chance he gets. I even joined a local men's group. Kind of like therapy meets guys who don't know how to talk about their feelings. First meeting, I told them the whole story. They didn't judge. Just nodded, offered me a beer, and one guy said, "At least you didn't stay." A lot of us did. That stuck with me. Because yeah, I got played. Lied to. Betrayed in every way that matters. But I didn't stay. I didn't accept it. And now? I'm okay. Not great. Not healed. But okay. And for now? That's enough. Funny thing is, I don't even think about Laura much anymore. I don't wonder if she regrets it. Because I don't care. She made her choice. And I made mine. So if you're reading this and you're in the middle of your own gut feeling phase where something feels off and you're not sure if you're crazy, you're not crazy. Trust your gut. Ask the hard questions. Look at the paperwork. And if you find yourself holding a phone that confirms your worst fears, take a deep breath. And then, start building your exit. Because peace is worth way more than any dream house.